Hello, and thanks again for joining us for another Fathom Live, a live stream show dedicated to giving you tips and insights from experts in and around the real estate industry. I'm your host, Jeff Sturtz. So glad to be with you here today. We are live. That means get to commenting on our different feeds. If you're on Facebook or YouTube and you comment, even just saying, hey, I'm Jeff over here in the Dallas, Texas area, you are automatically entered into a drawing to win a cash or a prize up to $200 worth of goods, whether that's a Go Social lead service package, a photo listing package. You can choose the photographer. A sign package. You could either use our Fathom signs if you're an agent, or if you have a particular vendor that you like, you can do that. We'll reimburse you up to $200. And on-target transactions, if they're in your state, you can win one of those, and that's valued at, I think, $450. So get to commenting. Just let us know you're there. If you comment in the show and we use that comment or question that you might have for our guest, then we automatically enter you 5 times into a drawing, so that way you have a little bit more chances of winning. So engage in the conversation. September is Realtor Safety Month through NAR, and so we want to bring safety to the fore in our live show. We already had Brandon Hicks on from Florida, and he owns a Krav Maga gym. He's been a law enforcement officer for several years before that, and so he talked to us a lot about agent safety last month, but we want to follow that up with another guest today. We'll bring her on in a minute, Andrea Tabei. She also owns a Krav Maga gym and has been dedicated to personal safety and self-defense for years now. But we also have one of our own district directors out in Virginia, Gail Ayler, who will be joining us here shortly as well. And she has a story about agent safety. She's taught agent safety classes, has been in the business for a long time, and so she's going to be joining the conversation to be able to ask and answer some of the questions that we have or you have. So get to commenting. If you haven't subscribed yet to our channels, do so. That way you get the notification, hey, we're going live, and you can jump in and ask those experts in and around the real estate industry the questions that you have. And so we're looking forward to continuing to offer good guests. There it is, our sponsor, Go Social Agent, helping you with affordable and effective social media marketing solutions to help you grow your business. That includes getting your account set up, automated postings, agent-branded articles, buyer and seller handbooks, Facebook ad campaigns, and more. So head over to GoSocialAgent.com, and you can see what they offer and take advantage of those services. I'll be monitoring the comments here while the rest of you all are having a conversation, but let's get started. We have Andrea, and Andrea is in the Dallas area. You're up in McKinney, correct?
Yes, McKinney.
All right, McKinney, Texas. And then Gail, where are you at in Virginia?
Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond, Virginia. Excellent. Well, thank you both for joining us. I'll start with Andrea. Maybe tell us a little bit about your background and your business and how it relates to agent safety.
Sure. My name is Andrea Tabei, and
I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize right up front. Andrea. I said Andrea 3 times now, so Andrea, forgive me. And go ahead, just plow right through.
I own Executive Self-Defense and Fitness in McKinney, Texas, and law enforcement and civilians. So what does that mean? Very good, direct self-defense for all audiences. They can learn not only to yield a weapon, but also train themselves as a weapon, which is the primary focus.
Very good. And how did you get into this business?
I once was going to the military. I did not have a life event, a good one, and so I did not. So I guess one way or another, I was going to be doing this sort of thing, and now I get to work with, a lot of great people and law enforcement and military as well.
Very good. And from time to time, amidst all the other things that you're doing, you work with real estate agents and offices to teach them self-defense and protection kind of stuff as well.
Absolutely. Yes. I do, the studio work. I do outside department agency, corporate real estate agent items as well, which I'm a big fan of. The real estate community, I think that they're providing a great source, helping people find great homes that they love.
And you even do young moms groups, which is how I originally got connected with you. My wife having you come speak to the young moms about self-defense, and I know they had a blast there with you being there. So thanks for joining us. Now, Gail, tell us just a little bit about your background, and then I know you have kind of a story to share about what happened to you earlier on in your career as it relates to agent safety. So I'll let you take it away.
Well, I do. So the very first week that I entered business in real estate in Richmond, Virginia, my company, which was a big company, put my picture and my contact information in an ad in the newspaper because they were always promoting, who was the latest agent to join their company. And that was back in the olden days when the newspaper was a big deal. And they also gave us free, absolutely free magnetic signs to put on our cars because they liked having all of us, ride around town and show what company we worked for. So I did what I was expected, and I put my picture on my business card, and I put my signs on my car, and I worked the opportunity desk, this is the days before cell phones, that the agent would sit in the office and take all the sign calls and then run out and show listings to strangers that we didn't know.
Right.
And I did that my first week in the business, and immediately was stalked by someone who was very dangerous and very scary, and followed me, apparently worked near my office, and followed my car to all of the listings that I would show, and called me and called people in the office and sent letters and
oh my goodness,
scary messages and things about all the things that, that was a vacant home. Don't you want to meet me there? And all the things they had in mind that we could do there.
Oh, no.
It was very, very, very scary. And that was my first week in the business.
Wow. And you stayed in real estate.
Yeah, I sort of considered catering because that was my other option. But I decided that I really liked to cook for my family, and I didn't want to ruin that by making it a business. So I sought to find a different way to do my real estate business. So I announced to my agents who were very concerned about me. They were wonderful, and they were all the agents there. They were like, oh, here's this new agent, and look at all the trouble she's in, and this is really scary, and we want to help her and protect her. They were wonderful. And I announced to them after thinking about it for a few days, and I said, I'm just going to pick my own clients. I'm just going to work with expired listings and for sale by owners, and I'm not going to go work with strangers. I'm not doing the opportunity desk anymore. I'm not doing sign calls. I'm not meeting strangers at properties. I'm not doing that anymore. And they just laughed and laughed at me because they said, well, you're not going to be able to do that because you're a brand new agent and you can't list a property in this town unless you have a reputation as a listing agent. And I'm like, yeah, I'll figure that out. And I did. So by the second year in the business, I was top 10 agent in Richmond. And I figured it out by picking my own clients. So I protected my safety. I got listings, I did open houses, but I enlisted lenders and friends and family and people to accompany me at those open houses because I would not do them by myself. And then I learned, and this was in the early days of realtor safety protocols, so I learned how to not follow the people, not precede the people. So I did not go into basements. I did not go into attics. I did not go into rooms. I did not go into any spaces ahead of my clients. So they had to go in there, and I would stay in the hallway, stay in the, wherever, kept myself safe, and always knew where my exits were, and I always had on my cell phone, I always had my emergency number, and I did all those kind of things. And to this day, I still do those kind of things to protect myself.
Well, that is a very troubling story, and I guess I'm picking up a couple of different things from it. The one is, don't think that it couldn't happen to you. That somebody like that would try to take advantage of you. And as we learned last week, that's not just ladies in the business. That's guys as well. That those kind of things can happen, whether it's burglary or assault or something.
That's right.
But the other thing is, don't compromise your safety just to make sure that your business advances. I mean, in your case, you took the risk of giving up some business in order to protect your safety, and years later, here you are, both successful and safe. So Andrea, then, kind of in relation to that story, what can an agent do to prepare themselves for an encounter like this, or even prevent it from happening in the first place?
Right. So Gail mentioned some good things as far as, surveying the area around, noting, the person as far as, what is it that they actually said that they wanted is something that you wanted to kind of decipher between what they say when they get there. Is there any differentiation between those two things? Their body language after you get there, watch their hands. Their face can be saying a lot of nice things, but then their hands are doing a whole different type of gesture. So this is if they're making an appointment ahead before you get there. If you can do a pre-check-in, there's a lot of different ways that basically you can do like digital forms now, but also services where you can get them to, under the guise of, I would like to be able to, put a name with the face. And so that basically you can ask them to, upload ID or a photo of themselves to go along with those forms so that you know exactly who you're looking for, at the time. When you go, you want to go ahead and, kind of have some sort of a time stamping so that you have someone that's in the know as to when it is that you actually got there, and some kind of a checkout point or note so that they know that it hasn't, passed that amount of time.
Thank you. If just to throw this out there, if you're sensing like this person's following me around, I mean, are we at a 911 kind of call? By that point, it's like I've been to 3 showings and the same car's behind me, and it's freaking me out. What do you do in that kind of situation?
All right, so it wouldn't be that you would go ahead and be directive into that. You have other people that you're expecting to be there, and so you would want to stay outside and with the group if that's the case, so that you can inquire as to what it is. Perhaps it's the neighborhood security patrol that's
Sure.
seeing everyone getting out and getting into houses and so forth. It would be probably pretty obvious to them, but in the event, so that way you can address that person if you find out at the later notice after you've gotten out of the vehicle, everybody's together. They're going to want to kind of do kind of an ambush type attack once you get in the house. So previous, acknowledgement, and then you have the person that you're supposed to be with information. We talked about getting pre-information. They've already contacted you for the sale.
Right.
And then you can just address that with them, and you can say, okay, I'm concerned for us before you even get out of the vehicle if you've noticed it prior to getting out. And then, yes, you can ask for assistance. It wouldn't be, an unusual thing that if you, especially like you're saying, 3 stops, so that the same person is not with you is coming, in that vicinity.
Right. Andrea, maybe, I don't know, mess with your mic cord or something there. I think there's some feedback coming through with that, and I'm not sure why. I just thought we could give it the old just, like the old rabbit ear kind of test here with.
Okay. Am I better?
Yes.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay.
It stopped giving that feedback. One of the things, Gail, that you brought up was with masks now and verbal cues. Do you want to talk about that? Or visual cues, excuse me.
Yes. See my Fathom Realty mask?
Very good.
So there are many other safety concerns for realtors besides your personal safety against someone who wants to do personal harm to you. There are risks of deploying signs in medians or at curbside or on other people's property or where they think is their property. There are so many other risks that an agent incurs that an agent needs to be concerned about. And then, of course, the COVID-19. So Fathom has a lot of safety protocols, and the CDC does, and the NAR does, and your own states have all of these protocols, safety protocols out there. But it's really important to consider all those because there have been almost as many agents killed when they were putting a sign in a median or at a curbside as there have been from, people that were doing something as personal harm to one individual agent. It's
Gotcha.
just been accidents.
So agent safety is beyond just, a perpetrator.
Is beyond, it's beyond just thinking about a perpetrator, yes. So consider your safety as a global, thing, all of the things of safety that you need to be concerned about. So don't rush, don't do things that are unsafe, don't step into medians, don't step into curbsides, don't go to the turn and, not be seen. You have to be really, 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 really careful.
Very good. So Andrea, kind of with the mask thing, since that's kind of a new element to all of this, does it, usually you're trying to pick up cues from people's faces, but now half their face is covered up. And you mentioned what they're doing with their hands. Are there any other nonverbal cues that you would say, hey, pay attention to as if somebody's acting strange?
Right, so with the mask, even so, we can still see the eyes. There should be, a general interest as opposed to they are scanning the environment continuously. The hands, like I mentioned, you want to watch what they're doing. We typically, of course, relax as opposed to, hands at the belt line continuously. So we want to watch for that. But, eyes, really can tell you a lot, even though that you have the mask in place. If they're not really paying attention to you or what that you're showing and that they're really looking all around continuously, then, that's definitely a sign that you should be listening to. And, there's some things that as far as being inside the house, again, reiterating what Gail said as far as that was a good tip for placing yourself not within an enclosed space with the other person. So my motion sensor was off. There we go.
Oh, you became a silhouette all of a sudden there. I thought it was for dramatic effect.
Yeah, conservative. Yeah. It's, you can still see from within, a certain distance as to what they're doing. And I know you have the, regard for the owner's property and so forth, but that's kind of a weighing thing. If it's a matter of, property or your life, I definitely know the homeowner would want for you to be able to get out safely. Yeah.
What about just gut feeling? I mean, is that a sort of a sixth sense that I should pay attention to? I mean, just something about that person. They don't seem like they have good intentions.
Yes. And that is, you see that in all types of responses from different people. And they will tell you post-attack, it's like, I knew something was wrong. They'll say, I got that weird feeling, or, something caught my eye. I didn't know what I saw, and listen to that. It is definitely a safe, not sorry thing. It's nobody's going to be able to, accuse you for, just, I got to, excuse myself for a minute, and then you don't need to further your impact with them.
Gotcha.
So may I add to that?
Please do. Yeah, go ahead. Jump in.
Okay. So I want to say that during COVID-19, it's perfectly easy to say, you don't need me when you're meeting a stranger at a listing to show your listing. What I do is I drive up to the listing. So I've had the pleasure of having a couple of rural properties that are in remote areas in the last couple of months. And I always partner with my daughter, who is also a Fathom agent. And I partner with my daughter and I'm like, I'm going to meet this person and here's their phone number and here's who they say they are. And here's what I'm doing because I need to get this listing sold. And then when I drive up, I make sure to take a picture of their license plate and text that to my daughter. I've got it already set up that I have my camera on and I'm ready to take a picture of their license plate to send it to my daughter. And then I'm like, if I don't get back to you in like 10 minutes, send someone. So when I've gone to these rural properties and everything's of course been fine, but when I go into these properties, especially during COVID-19, it's perfectly reasonable for an agent to say, hey, it's a vacant home or the sellers aren't home. You don't need me to tell you this is the dining room, this is the kitchen,
Sure.
blah, blah, blah. You can just go in there yourself and see the property. And if I feel anything at all, I just let them go in by themselves. They just go in there and look at the property, and my seller knows that we're going to do that because I'm not going to go in there and be in that enclosed space with that person.
Out in the middle of nowhere with a perfect stranger. Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
in a rural area, like, an hour away from anywhere.
And you mentioned something, Gail, too, that Andrea, I'll get your name right by the end of this. I apologize. We did so much over email that I just put Andrea in my brain before talking to you. So, but you mentioned something that Andrea had written to me as well, is that if you are there by yourself, then have somebody that knows you're there from this time to that time.
That's right. It's a buddy plan. I call it a buddy plan. And I've had, as a manager for almost 30 years, I can tell you there have been a number of times that having a buddy plan for my office and for my agents has been a very, very, very worthwhile thing to do. So I always teach my agents to have a buddy plan if they think they're going somewhere to meet someone that they don't know, because you don't know who you don't know, and you don't know what they're thinking, and you don't know what a good salesperson they are that might make you think they're wonderful and okay, because I've seen it. I've seen it so many times. I mentioned to Jeff about one of my agents who was held at gunpoint over a deal that wasn't going right for that agent. I mean, for that client. And
that's
the agent
quite the negotiation skill right there.
Yeah. So, but thank goodness other agents knew that agent was there, and I was able to call the police and tell them. We've had so many agents, men and women, that have been killed because somebody wanted to steal their car, or killed because they thought they had a lot of money in their pocket. And different reasons over the years when you've been in this for a long time, and you just realize, like, it's not worth your life. Take precautions and use your gut, because your gut is telling you these little teeny clues. Like Andrea was saying, like, you can still see people's eyes. And I loved it when Andrea said, they're scanning the area. Well, if they're looking at the house, why are they scanning the whole scene? They're scanning it because there's something else on their mind, and that's what I know.
Very good, thank you. One of the things too that you'd mentioned, kind of in your original story there, was the or kind of the follow up to that, Gail, was the idea of bringing a loan officer or somebody that you know within the business along. And that's kind of doubling up, because now you're bringing a buddy along, but you're also helping them sell their business. You know, if it's an open house, maybe
Yes.
somebody.
It's a perfect relationship. And always when you go into a house, make sure you know where the exits are and make sure that they don't have to be unlocked with a key. Because like in Richmond, we have a lot of historic homes that have really old locks on them, really old, doorknobs on them. And they can only be unlocked by a key, which is not good for fire safety, and it's not good for any other safety. But when you go into a house like that, make sure you get there early, get your exits unlocked so that you have an exit place if that's what you need.
Now, Andrea, as far as the photo ID thing, you said that having that kind of requirement maybe at an open house may not be something you actually use with every guest, but it's something you can employ if you're nervous. Was that kind of what I was understanding?
Well, you can do, of course, pre-information gathering. Now, if we have an open house situation, then of course, you're going to have the drop-in. So you can have signage, asking for, regular sign-in, and that, showing photo ID is required by your company. You kind of have to do across the board on that. But of course, we can have, fake IDs, those types of things.
Sure.
But, at least we're, having kind of a precursory discussion about that and confirming who they are. If they are not wanting to fill out anything or show any ID, then they're really not invested because, as a realtor, you're going to get a lot of information about them personally and
sure,
financially.
right.
Couldn't resist, filling out a short form.
Gotcha. Now, Gail, one of the things that you had mentioned too, from a sort of a legal standpoint, was that whatever safety measures that you exercise with one client, you really should be doing across the board because of fair housing.
That's right.
Anything
That's
else
right.
to add to that?
You want to treat all people equally, and you don't want to require information from one person that you don't require from another person that's in that same situation. So if you require ID from one client, you need to require it from all clients. If you require a sign-in from one client, you need to require them from that sign-in from all clients. I just had an open house this spring in March under COVID-19, and a lady showed up that wanted to see the house, and she refused to sign the sign-in sheet for COVID-19 contact tracing. And I said, well, I'm sorry, then this is our requirement, and we made it publicly known. And if you can't sign in, then you can't see the house. Because this is what we need, because this is for the safety of everyone who comes here today.
Gotcha.
And she left. And she's like, I'm not giving you my name.
Yeah,
I'm like, all right, fine, let's see the house.
Sale, right, that you were losing then. It was a problem that you were losing as opposed to a sale.
Right. Because then you're going to have to work with that same person that's obstinate enough not just to put their name down. I mean, what's the point of them coming to that house if they're
so we just said bye-bye. She just left and didn't see the house. And okay.
Andrea, one of the terms that you used in what you sent me was aggressively friendly, and I thought that was kind of a funny thing. What does it mean to be aggressively friendly in a situation for self-protection?
Well, for instance, like what you're talking about, like you've seen, you get out of the car and you're like, oh my gosh, that is the person that has been with us at the last two houses, and here they are again. So as opposed to, timid behavior or fearful behavior, across the street, you're going, hey, how are you doing? And, having this exude of energy as opposed to, being fearful, which is going to be encouraging to them. They wanted, an easy target. They didn't want to fight.
Right.
So you can be aggressively friendly.
And that's, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I mean, that applies to everyday life too. I mean, you're even at the gas station, something like that. and they have the person that's, always meandering around, and they're scanning for someone who's a good target.
Yeah.
Oh, my car ran out of gas 2 miles away. Can you come help me or give me some money, that kind of thing. But if you're very open, you have that confident body, language, and that you're not being shy about it,
Right.
then they're going to try to find somebody else for their grift.
Very good. That's something that Brandon kind of mentioned, or we talked about last week, was body language, confidence, standing up straight, looking like somebody that doesn't want to mess around.
Even if you're only 5'2".
Even if you're only 5'2". Yeah, because if they're just looking for, somebody to steal from, there's plenty of other people that they might go after. But if you're confident and purposeful in your actions, he was saying that is important. So
another couple of things as far as safety minded, those kinds of things. So you can have, you're already within the environment, and then you're feeling nervous about something. You can have, some people are shy about it. They feel like they're overstepping when they do some confident move for their own safety. They feel shy about it. Just have your, car alarm in your pocket. And so then set it off. It's in your pocket. And be like, oh, there goes that car alarm again. Right back and go check it. And then you can get out, So, just anything you feel strange about. Anything about too, as far as, your planning. Regular safety training, some kind of hands-on training. I know that's sometimes hard to coordinate, but title companies and builders, they will sponsor those types of things so that they can make those connections. So if you're having an issue as far as in-house funding for it, then you could get them to participate or host it so that you could have some hands-on training. Because, it's not always going to be that you have all these warning signs. It's going to be that suddenly they're upon you, and you need to have some skills so that you can make a window of escape. So that's where the, reality base and the hands-on training go hand in hand.
And that's what you do every day. Is teaching people how to physically overcome somebody else or escape a situation.
Yes, So there, basically, we want to, not only just have situational awareness, but we want to, have a point that we know when it is that we are being threatened, that we will go into action, and that especially if they're having physical contact with us, then that means to be right away, and that has to be trained. So that you will do that. A lot of times people get attacked and they freeze. So you want to have a full plan on that so that you will have a go button. And then two, not only that, but have the tools that you can go to so that you can make your window of escape. Now that you've done that, what is your game plan afterwards? How are you going to get to a safe, secure environment? And how are you going to notify people as to, one, this person is dangerous, because you're not staying and detaining them. So that basically if they are, making it house to house, whatever, so that you can get a warning sign out to everybody else quickly, as well as getting yourself to safety.
Very good. So if you're an individual agent, go sign up for a self-defense class. If you're a team leader, get your team. It'd be a good team building activity to be able to do that and then keep your team safe. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, especially North Dallas, call Andrea at Executive Self-Defense and get something signed up with her, and I'm sure it'll be worth your while. Lastly here, any apps or gadgets that you recommend? I know Brandon kind of said some of the stuff's a little bit more gimmicky or it's ready to fail if you kind of have the wrong thing, but anything that you would recommend via a phone app or any sort of gadget? And I guess that goes for both of you, since I'm sure Gail has looked into some of this stuff as well.
Gail, did you want to go first?
Well, I will say that Home Snap and Central Lock, and probably even Supra, have Realtor safety apps that an agent can activate. And so you can set that I'm going to be showing this property at this time. And if you don't check back in, then it sends an alert to your ICE person,
Gotcha.
your identified person. So that's one thing. But I want to say another big thing where agents have run into trouble is that they don't keep their car in operating condition, and they don't keep their tank of gas full. And they have problems where they're stranded on the side of the road because they just went off in a hurry to go show property, and something happened to them because they were stranded on the side of the road. So keep your car always, your tank full, and your car in good operating condition. And that will go a long way to save you from other,
Right, because if you're on a
conditions.
rural road or a kind of a empty highway somewhere, then you're you're a lot
You're a
more
target.
targetable. Yeah.
You're vulnerable. So keep your car in good condition and keep your tank full.
Very
And
good.
watch your surroundings and use your apps and use a buddy plan and use common sense and trust your gut feelings and don't do dangerous things. It's not worth a commission.
Very good. Thank you. Andrea, anything else?
So there's systems where that basically you can do a full cycle on them. So any of your guests, they can basically be automatically put into your CRM, which is helpful in a different way as far as sales too. But you can gather that pre-meeting information. You can gather a photo. The system can be, collective throughout your agency. So if you have someone that shouldn't be a welcome guest, at a home, then they can be flagged, and it'll be, you can do a setting for in office, or you can do for your whole company. So the system will check as far as did they get flagged for something, and you can put in a reason for. And then you're talking about not just for the safety thing, but for health. I mean, perhaps that they have notified someone that they had, COVID, something like that. I know that's a big concern for a lot of people as far as contact level. So that you can put that in there and date that. It keeps a whole record through this whole cycle, and also kind of gives like a full cohesive professional, appearance. But you're checking on all the safety, and you're communicating throughout your company immediately. It gives a check-in timestamp and, a checkout, so everybody knows where everybody is at the home office, those types of things. So it alerts a lot of people simultaneously.
And what program is that?
One of those types of programs, there's several, but one is called Envoy.com.
Envoy. Okay. Well, thank you. Last thing here. How often should agents take safety training?
They should regularly be doing it. I'm not talking about daily, of course, that's not feasible. I know you have busy schedules, but it is definitely a perishable skill. You think about if you go on vacation, you haven't driven your car for a week or so, you get back home and you get in the car and you're like, this feels a little different, even though you've been driving for how many years? Yeah. Well, the same thing. And so now if you haven't, visited those skills and kept them fresh, now, of course, when you have a, threat, you're going to have that adrenal dump. You're not going to be in the right mindset to go ahead and flip that switch to counter and defend, to make yourself a window of escape. So very, very regularly, it's, I understand people that's not part of their regular lifestyle. They'll, I'll have seminars and kinds of things. I say, has anybody, done this? If I do an open public seminar or anything like this, and I'll have somebody be like, absolutely. And I said, okay, great, awesome. Tell us about it. And so they said, 20 years ago, I did my 2-hour seminar, and I feel totally prepared for today. I'm just going to take some names into the seminar. So that is always surprising to them, even though that they felt like they had checked that box, that how those skills had deteriorated. So yes, definitely frequently do it. I recommend, of course, Krav Maga, if, because it's very direct and to the point. It's easily learned. You don't have to do anything esoteric in the mirror by yourself or anything like that. So every time you train, basically get applicable tools for your toolbox.
And it's healthy. It's good for you. You're getting out, moving, and doing some exercise. So, and the name of that application you mentioned, somebody just asked us to repeat. It was Envoy, correct? Envoy. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I think that'll wrap it up for today. I really appreciate you both weighing in on this. If you didn't get anything else, get out, get some safety training, read some stuff as well, and just make yourself aware. And I would say that the last thing too that really stuck out to me was do the things to prevent yourself from getting into that situation in the first place, and that'll save a lot of headache rather than trying to figure out what to do once you're there. So thank you both.
And
go ahead,
Jeff,
Gail.
There's lots of resources on Realtor.org.
Thank you. All right. Well, so check that out. Google Agent Safety or do a search for Agent Safety on Realtor.org. So, alrighty. We'll let you go. For those of you still remaining, check us out on FathomCareers.com. We'll be with you on the first Wednesday of next month, so we look forward to that. In the meantime, stay safe out there, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time.